featuring Jalen Rose every single day. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Sports Illustrated's S.L. Price had a feature on Rich Paul, who we all know by now. And Rich Paul said a lot of things, but one thing he said that stood out amongst everything was what he said about Anthony Davis and the Boston Celtics. He told S.L. Price, quote, "They can trade for him, but it'll be for 1 year." I mean, if the Celtics traded for Anthony Davis, we would go there and we would abide by our contractual obligations and we would go into free agency in 2020. I've stated that to them. But in the event that he decides to walk away and you give away assets, don't blame, third person alert, Rich Paul. Jalen. Wow. I mean, we always knew that these kind of conversations happen behind closed doors. What do you think about Rich Paul really taking us behind the curtain, putting it right on wax that Anthony Davis will not stay in Boston?
It's important that he did this. And the way that they've handled Anthony Davis getting traded by the Pelicans, in my opinion, has not been bulletproof. But the one thing it has been is consistent. He doesn't want to be a member of the Pelicans, even though he has another year left on his contract. If at all possible, can y'all trade him ASAP? Hey, Boston, we see that you guys have amazing assets, a terrific organization, and he wants to play. He loves the game, and he may even do a Kawhi. Go to the East, lead them to the conference finals, maybe to the NBA finals. You never know what's going to happen next year because without KD, for those that have not been paying attention, it's wide open who's going to win it all next year. So you can roll the dice, but he's going to walk after that. Fans, don't be surprised. I don't want to hear the crocodile tears. I don't want the people begging him to stay. I don't want people approaching me on the street about what he's going to do next. I'm putting this on wax in June, before the draft, before free agency. So it's no gray area, no surprises.
Here's one thing I find really interesting. The KD injury reverberates through everything that happens in the NBA because it's clear that one of Anthony Davis' preferred destinations, if not his only truly preferred destination, is the Los Angeles Lakers. And then you start looking at that Lakers roster. You look at LeBron and KD and AD on the same team, the Warriors without KD, the Rockets are all of a sudden trying to change their roster. And then you've got the Thunder out there who never really did in the playoffs. It becomes really interesting in the Western Conference and throughout the entire NBA without Kevin Durant and that power structure that they have in Golden State. We start every single season assuming Golden State is going to eventually be the champions. This year, I'm not so sure it's going to be the same, which is so exciting for the future of the NBA. And we all kind of feel like AD wants to end up on the Lakers, and Rich Paul spoke about the Lakers. What was the comparison that he made, Mr. Rose?
He talked about the fact that joining the Lakers is the equivalent of Alex Rodriguez marrying J-Lo. If you get a chance to date someone of her caliber, you got to put a ring on it, dog.
You do.
And you know how much we love power couples on this show.
Yes.
And you don't have to be a celebrity to get acknowledged by this program, okay? We appreciate love and companionship. We're both happily married men. But he put it on wax to let it be known. The ideal partner would be the Lakers. However, don't sleep on the New York Knicks in this dynamic either. If they're able to acquire AD, that will also lend to them signing somebody else this offseason. And therefore, I think he will be happy with that situation as well.
I think so too, but I know the Knicks roster. I've been to Madison Square Garden this year. I watched the MSG Network and listened to Clyde Frazier while the games are on. They don't really have a true package. It's good that they got the number 3 pick. That has to be a part of it. But what you give me Mitchell Robinson and Lonzo Trier and Kevin Knox? Like, that's not exactly comparable to what the Lakers could potentially put together. We will keep our eye on all of this as I find it really interesting. But Not only are we talking about where AD is going to end up, there's now a betting line. Like you say, everything in sports has a betting line, and so does where Anthony Davis will play for. And Jalen, you will not believe this. Not only are the Lakers favorites, they are huge favorites to land AD. It's approximately 1-5. It's like you got to bet 500 to win 100 for this outcome. The Knicks are a distant second where it's close to 1-1, and then the rest of it is just a long shot. Or it's close to 4-1 for the Knicks. Jalen, what do these betting lines tell you about Anthony Davis's team next year?
Well, it's just feeding off the narrative that became the obvious, that if he could choose his destination, it would be the Lakers. So, of course, that becomes the betting favorite. But the problem is he still doesn't control his destiny. The owner of the Pelicans has since walked back this terminology, but she basically said she would do a deal with the Lakers over her dead body. For those that watch this program, I've said this all year. When the Pelicans look down at their phone, 213-323-310, voicemail. It was consistent throughout the year. And let me tell you what happened to the Lakers package that changed from February to now. Same players, but let me tell you what's changed. Brandon Ingram is returning from a blood clot issue. Yep. You don't know how that's going to affect him long term.
Yep.
Did Lonzo Ball, my adopted little brother, finish the season in a uniform or in street clothes?
Street clothes.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so that did happen. Now all of a sudden, that package ain't necessarily as attractive now as it was then. Look at the landscape of the league. That's why David Griffin came out and said, it's gonna be more than one team to satisfy what we need.
Found that interesting.
Because he sees what I see. On paper, it isn't one team that's gonna be able to get the deal done.
It's interesting. Yeah, David Griffin was basically saying, I know what the Lakers can offer, but someone else is going to have to take that on, and I will take something else in return for Anthony Davis. He's on the phone a lot. I hope he's got unlimited data, because you know David Griffin's on the phone all day long. Right now, it is time for Jalen's favorite segment, Jalen of the Week. Glad to be back on Jalen Jacoby, and so much to discuss today, but we start with Kevin Durant. Now that we've had some time, we've had 36 hours to digest this injury, the implications. We've heard the talking heads talk about it. We've heard his Instagram post. Jalen, my question for you is more of a macro, big picture question. How do you think this injury and him coming back to play in Game 5 will change the way that he is perceived by fans and the media?
So here's what's tricky. I talked yesterday about so many people that are phony in the fact that now that Kevin Durant is injured, now that he gave us a pound of flesh, people that live with a herd mentality, that are out for blood, like this is MMA or like this is boxing, and it's not over until somebody is on the canvas. Now that that's happened, oh man, he a hero now.
Exactly.
People gonna laud how tough that he is. They're gonna allow how much he's willing to sacrifice to play the game that he loves. And now that narrative is gonna shift to the point where he's gonna get the acceptance that it seemed that he was seeking anyway, which is why many of us felt all season that he was gonna leave the Warriors after this year, despite being back-to-back champion and finals MVP.
It was a tragic injury, and it was a moment that it really hurts the hearts of all real basketball fans, because we all saw what he was trying to do for his team, and we saw how it played out in the worst possible way. But now it turns him into a sympathetic figure. Listen, even me, I would clown him for being in the comments, and I would call him sensitive. I did these things, guilty as charged. But now, because of this, I've kind of changed the way that I look at him. He is more heroic in my own mind, whether fair or not. I'm just telling you sort of how I feel about him. But I want to change the question to this for you is, now that we've had some time to really think about this, how much of this injury is truly just a freak accident, something that just happened, like sort of, a small chance that it played out this way, and it did, and how much of this is just really, really mismanagement and allowing him to play?
This is not a freak accident. A freak accident is spilling coffee on your shirt, not sitting out 30 days because you have a strained calf. I went on NBA Countdown and specifically said his workout Thursday did not go well in any way, shape, or form. You don't all of a sudden have a couple of workouts and you ready to play in the NBA Finals against Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors. This idiotic theory that people continue to spew that a 70% of Kevin Durant is better than most of the league. Yeah, stupid. But a 70% Kevin Durant means he can't go all of the way. Yeah, he can stand in the corner and make three-point shots, and you saw him do it 3 times in the first quarter and end up with 11 points. But what happened when he had to put the ball on the deck for the other 30%, everybody? He got injured. So this idea that he was ready to go never flew with me. And you know what else it did? It brought out a different side of me that I didn't really understood that I still have, that I want to expose to the public. You ready for this?
What's that, Jalen? What side of you?
Watching how the world just bullied Kevin Durant and assassinated his character and kicked dirt on his name. And unlike Kawhi, he played his 9 games and he took the ribbon from everybody. Oh, you don't want to play for the Spurs? They're a storied franchise. Pop wouldn't do this. Tony Parker wouldn't say that. And you know what Kawhi did? He fell back. And in July, he got traded. And you know what else he did? Load management. 21 times this year. I'm going to pace myself. And you know what's going to happen now? He's going to be holding a championship trophy soon. So what KD injury taught me, I'm going to bring out a different side of myself once a month. And I need the fans to tell me what month they want this to be. The Motown Clown, Jalen versus everybody. He's coming out once a month on social media. Anybody that try to throw shade, anybody that try to clown, I'm gonna take 1 month out of the year and I'm going Curtis Jackson on everybody once a month. They try to assassinate my character because I was a person that said he should not go.
I support this.
I said he should not go. And then people like, oh, when he got cleared, Jalen don't know what he talking about. How come Jalen gonna say that he can play and then the doctors put him out there? And guess what? He played and got hurt. I'm coming.
I fully support this. You getting in the comments, you responded to the haters. I fully support this. However, the math doesn't really add up. Are you picking a month of the year or are you gonna do it 1 day of each month?
I'm gonna do it every day for a calendar month.
Okay.
I'm going Curtis Jackson. I'm gonna let the people choose what month that should be. And as many times as I can, anybody that think about saying something negative to me, somebody that's giving so much to the culture, I'm clean every day, I got a fresh cut, I founded a school, it's kids named after me, all of that. But there are people that don't care. So you know what I'm gonna do for those people? I'm gonna give them what they want. I'm gonna respond. I don't care if they got 1 follower, I don't care if they got 1 million followers. You want it? I got it.
Well, I look forward to that. I also look forward to listening to Kevin Durant's mom, Wanda Durant, talk to the Culture's mom, Robin Roberts, about her son's injury. Let's listen.
Did the Warriors make a mistake? Did they rush him?
Yes, I've heard that. Well, it's still out right now. We don't know. He felt that he was able to play, and they said that he could play, and so we still have to analyze that and see if, they made the right decision. That's kind of up in the air right now.
Okay, I'm gonna do the media thing and read too much into that answer, Jalen Rose. I'm gonna do the media thing and read too much into that answer. Do you think the Warriors rushed him? Yeah, it's still out. She didn't say no. She said Kevin felt like he was ready to play, and the doctors cleared him. Am I reading too much into this by saying there's still a part of Wanda Durant that maybe feels like the blame is on the staff of the Warriors?
You're not reading too much into it, David Jacoby. Listen to your brother. I told you that the workout didn't go well. He had a strained calf. He was out over 30 days. You don't go from that on Friday to being cleared to play a basketball game in the NBA Finals on Monday. If this was February, he would not have gone. If they were up 3-1, he would not have gone. If they were 2-2, he would not have gone. But now all of a sudden, they get down 3-1. There's a sense of desperation with the organization and with the player. And how many times have you said this, and how many times have you heard this? You must protect athletes from themselves.
Yes.
We're not the smartest people. We're not brain surgeons, okay? We're not the kind of people that's all of a sudden gonna find the cure for cancer. But guess what we can do? Put the ball in the hoop. We can catch touchdowns. You gotta protect the athlete from themselves because you always feel like you can go, but you gotta say, hold on, this is not the right thing to do. And so Mama Durant's first answer was her legitimate thought. And she said, yes.
Yeah. Yes, she did, but then she kind of covered it up. I like that you noticed that too. Jalen, there's something that you need to come to grips with. There's something that you really don't like in the NBA, and that's resting healthy players. You really don't like resting healthy players. However, you mentioned load management. You've got Kawhi Leonard. You mentioned his injury and how load management may have helped him be the player that he is in the playoffs. And now we're looking at Kevin Durant. All the minutes that he played during the regular season, all the minutes that he played in this playoff run that may have contributed to the calf strain. Will this change the way that you view load management?
No, because you said a key word, healthy player. Did you say healthy? I just want to make sure. Did you say
was
healthy?
Was Kawhi Leonard healthy when he sat games this year for the Raptors?
That was recovery. That's different. He sat out an entire season, basically, because he had a knee injury. That's called recovery. That's different from load management. Did you say resting healthy players?
Yes.
Did you say those words?
Okay,
I just want to make sure.
Okay. How do you define healthy if they played the previous game? That's how you define healthy, using your own words as well. Kawhi Leonard played the previous game and finished that game healthy, so then he's healthy the next game when he sits. Back on you.
David Jacoby. He just missed 70-plus games in the previous year. When you put somebody back on the floor, he's not going to go and do a me and play 83 games in a year. It's not going to happen, okay? That's called recovery. That's allowing his body, his mind, to physically get himself in a position to play high-level basketball for a long time. I'm still against resting healthy players. And Adam Silver, this is his favorite program. Not only am I against it, I'm definitely against it on the road. You want to rest? Rest one of the 41 home games you have. Not one of the couple of road games that the fans are going to get a chance to see a player, purchase a ticket, and then you show up, and then all of a sudden, the marquee player isn't there.
We always say that we give the people what they want, and we are one of the television shows that truly gives the people what they want. Well, we have just learned that there is another. Hard Knocks is going to give the people what they want. We'll tell you how right after this.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Magic Day, Tony. You know any magic tricks?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Yes, I once made my hair disappear.
Yeah, but that took like 30 years.
Well, I'm still working, though, on the trick to make my hair reappear. There's some small possibility, but I didn't get far enough in the magic book to find out how to make it come back in full.
Yeah, you let us know how that goes.
Well, it'd be great if that happened. It'd make me very, very happy. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Lakers and Celtics make moves for Anthony Davis. The U.S. women celebrate, and we got a Game 7 for the Stanley Cup. But we begin today with Kevin Durant, who posted on Instagram this afternoon that he has had successful surgery for a ruptured Achilles. In the post, he said, quote, "I wanted to be out there that night because that's what I do," unquote. Meanwhile, reports by Sports Illustrated and ESPN say interest in Kevin Durant is undiminished. Chris Mannix and Bobby Marks say they have talked to front office executives around the league and found Durant is still considered a prize catch, even if he doesn't play at all next year. Wilbon, where do you want to start?
There's only one place for me to start, Tony. And as I sit here in San Francisco, this area is just swarming with all of this news, buzzing with all of it. But chief among all these things is the notion whether or not Kevin Durant was pressured by outside forces to play. And so the part of this post, I wanted to be out there that night because that's what I do. I take Kevin Durant at his word. I almost always do. And to me, it dismisses that. I mean, Kevin Durant, even if he doesn't know of this swirl of conversation because he's in New York and he's just had surgery, he must have been made aware of it to some degree.
So it does not send us down that road anymore.
Right. So at least I don't think so, Tone.
So that's
I
good.
think this largely or completely eliminates that part of the conversation.
I'm interested in the notion that interest in him is not diminished at all. We live in a city, you don't live in it all that much anymore, but I live in it all that time, where John Wall signed a max contract and then had the same injury. And now everybody in town wants to get rid of him all the time. Kevin Durant is one of the three best players. Maybe he drops, maybe he doesn't. Does he drop to 8 to 10? I mean, I wonder, Mike, I guess I'm a little surprised that more teams don't say, I'm going to withdraw here. I think it's damaged goods. I want to wait and see what he can do.
Yeah, Tony, it's one thing to sort of take a poll now. I mean, let's get down the road. The road ain't all that long, a week or two, until these offers are made and therefore, accepted. So, look, I got through reading all this material on my 6-hour flight out here about how players are diminished. Their production is diminished in the neighborhood of 8% immediately after this surgical procedure and rehab, and they're being reintroduced to basketball. Well, 8%, what does that mean in terms of Kevin Durant? Does that mean he's a top 12 player but not a top 3 or maybe the best player in the league? What does that mean? I don't know that I trust everything that is said in projection by everyone until they have to actually write the check or project for $140 to $240 million.
That's exactly how I think. I mean, everybody would love to have the Kevin Durant of, I'm Kevin Durant, you all know who I am.
That's right.
But we don't know if that's the same Kevin Durant down the road. Although, look, there's 30 teams in the league, and about 25 of them may not even have a top 10 or 12 player. So they may want him a lot. But to me, you're rushing into something before you know much.
Tony, no shock that the Lakers and the Celtics would be engaged in trade talks aimed at getting them back on the court this time next year, instead of on the sideline trying to get better. A slew of ESPNers is reporting that both teams are trying to get Anthony Davis. One scenario has the Lakers sending Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and the number 4 pick to New Orleans. Another has the Celtics getting Davis partly in an effort to keep Kyrie Irving. Tone, what do you make of all this?
Well, I mean, I understand why the Lakers want to do this. If you put LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the same court in a league where Kevin Durant's not going to play next year, that helps you become a contender. I'm a little confused by Boston's interest in this regard. I thought that Rich Paul was saying to Boston, stay away from my boy because he doesn't intend to re-sign with you no matter what. And I'm a little confused that they would still want Kyrie Irving because it seemed to go south there. And then there's, so maybe you can straighten this out for me. I get the Lakers. Well, Tony, I'm not sure about the other.
The Kyrie Irving part, I see very clearly this. And, my position, I think everybody's position has been since watching the Celtics all year, including the way they went on the playoffs. Kyrie Irving's a great talent. He's a great player. But he cannot be your best player. And if you have him playing with Anthony Davis, I think Davis is seen as the best player, even though Davis hasn't had nearly the postseason success because Kyrie was Robin to LeBron's Batman. But if you have him, he doesn't have to lead necessarily. He doesn't have to do the things that Kyrie Irving has seemingly been deficient at, which is being the #1 guy and a leader. You get Anthony Davis, maybe it changes the dynamic. That's how I'm forced to read that.
Well, the other thing about, I think there's an influence here of Kawhi Leonard being a 1-year risk rental. And he's done so well in Toronto that maybe Boston says, let's take that risk. Let's try and keep him. Let's see if we can put a team together. But we keep hearing that there's a third team that has to come in or a fourth
Other teams,
Because with the Lakers, Mike, these players were available last year and New Orleans didn't take.
Actually, more of them.
Yeah, so there's not enough, right? That's not enough.
There's a pick that is available, and we know where it is now. And so it's more tangible in that #4 slot, Tony.
Yeah, but I thought it was a 3-man draft, Mike, not a 4-man, 5-man, 6-man draft.
David Griffin has his own ideas, and David Griffin has had more success at both trading people and drafting people than a lot of folks have had in that same position. But Tony, the main thing takeaway here is the Celtics and the Lakers, they're tired of all these other teams being celebrated in May and June, and they're irrelevant on the sideline, out of the big action. Oh, jealousy.
And they're the biggest 2 teams in the history of the league.
The Pillars.
So they want to get back, the Lakers and the Celtics. The United